You can create an automation workflow in your account by going to the automation space and then choose Create Workflow. From here, you can build a workflow from scratch or browse through the templates that are available that are pre-built workflows based on some goal that you may want to achieve from the webinar, whether that's welcoming new contacts or subscribers to your list, or qualifying leads, engaging and retaining particular customers, or following up after purchases or abandoned carts. So you can browse through those to find the one that you would want. You can also preview a particular workflow if you want for the template, see what it looks like, and also visit the specific FAQ that's been written to help you explicitly configure the properties and do everything you need to do to use that particular template. And so that's, you can see how many elements that you need to configure within this template and so on. So I'll just choose Use Template for this one because it's a quick example for how to set up a simple welcome message, so that automatically when someone signs up to a list, it would send a message to them. And so what you'll be able to do is click on an element, and then it will go to the Properties tab so you can configure it, more specifically. And so this is a subscribe condition. So whenever someone subscribes, it would then qualify them for this workflow based on the properties here. So if you don't want this work for every, any list in your account, any subscription method, then you're good to go here. Or you can specify that when someone signs up to my specific, let's say, chocolate bar list via a form or a landing page or an import or, from a survey or a webinar, that would trigger the workflow, or any method. So if someone is added to this chocolate bar list and they sign up via any method, that will qualify them for the workflow. Then I go back to this Elements tab, or I can go back here. Now I just need to specify which message I want to send them. And so if you don't, what you should do if you are able is to go ahead and have the message that you want to be sent to be already created or drafted before you start publishing your workflow or creating it. But it's no problem if you don't have it created just yet. You could simply choose to save and exit from this workflow and go and create that message, let's say as an automation message, which I can show you in a moment, and then come back in to the workflow and edit it and add the message in. So it's totally up to you. But if you do already have it created, for example, as a draft, so you created it as an automation message draft or as a newsletter draft or something, and saved it as a draft, essentially, you'd be able to find it here. And so, this would be, welcome, whatever you've actually named it. So we just click OK, and then we'll be able to send this message automatically whenever someone signs up to our chocolate bar list. Send only to unique recipients, or to send only during specific hours. So for example, if someone signs up, you only want to make sure that they get the welcome message, within, let's say, 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., for example, if that's something you'd want to make sure. So if they sign up at 6 p.m., we would be waiting until it reaches 8 a.m. to send them that message again. So that's something else you could tweak. And then theoretically, this workflow is good to go, and we can save and publish, and this is a completely working workflow. But I'll show you a couple other things. I mentioned about the automation message, so making sure you have the message that you want to send in the workflow already created or drafted whenever you are customizing this template or this workflow. So to do that, let's say you haven't yet, you would go to Automation Messages and choose Create Draft. And then you can go through this process of actually creating the message that you want to be sent whenever someone signs up. So you would just go through this message creation process, and we've got some other helpful materials to show you exactly how that will work. So for the sake of the time here in this video, I'll go ahead and exit that. So you would go ahead and create that automation message as a draft, and then you'd be able to use it in your workflows. For example, that was this one I was working on here. I could go to Edit, because I chose Save and Exit, and then I could go here, for example, and choose, I would go to Draft, and then choose the message that I had just created there within that step. Choose Apply, and then you can see that this is what we'll be able to use. And then we could click Save and Publish. And just briefly, I will just introduce you to a few other options you have within the editor. Because let's say we chose this as a template that we wanted to use, but you can of course customize a template with more conditions or elements that you want. So you can browse through all of these different conditions that we could say are potentially like triggers for people to actually meet to qualify for this workflow, to subscribe to this particular condition we're using here. But you could also connect a condition here to this action. So for example, the condition could be, let's say we had a link in this message that we want to track. So we could add over that condition, was a link clicked, and you can see it automatically went to the properties section, but I need to configure, that this is an automation message. Did they click a specific link? And in this example, of course, I don't have any links in that message to show you, but essentially this is where we could be able to, see if people were clicking a link, and then, for example, do something after that. So if they actually did click a link, I could choose from the actions that I have here, like sending them another message or tagging or scoring them, based on if they clicked the link or if they did not, or any additional filters. And so I hope you will become a bit more familiar with all of the really cool conditions you have to actually, trigger people into a workflow, or be able to, track other, triggers that are happening throughout the rest of the workflow. And then deciding how to react with actions, whether that's sending a message to them, moving them to a different workflow or a different list, tagging or scoring them so you can better, start to segment people based on, what they're actually engaging with or not. And then the filters. And so you could be able to filter people by the amount of people who click. The first 100 clickers of a particular link could then get a specific tag or get a special email sent to them. Or a range, the first 1 through 10 customers can get this particular message, and then the next range of, 200 to 300 clickers of a particular link could get a different message. So these are all examples of ways that you can actually, more fine-tune and specify how contacts are going to be, targeted within your workflow, and then you choose what type of actions are going to be taken whenever some conditions are met or whenever someone flows through some particular filter. So definitely recommend to check out the templates that are available, so you could have some pre-built scenarios that are already IT checked, and so you can be sure that they're going to be working great for you. And then go ahead and customize it with the correct properties that you have, or be able to expand a template based on additional triggers or conditions that you want to track, and then have your own reactions to within the actions.